Cut the music. Cut the music.
Whoa. Dang, you didn't even give me a chance to say, all right, we're here. Okay, what's going on?
You know, when we started this podcast, first of all, if you haven't watched season 3 or season 4 of Attack on Titan, listeners, please skip ahead to the time below when this episode actually starts. So I started with saying that I believed Aaron's methods were wrong, that his Jaegerist ways in the rumbling it was misguided. Ever since we progressed through the podcast in these past few years, I'm a full Jaegerist starting today. I've joined the side, I've joined the team. Humanity needs a reset. I have had a week. So starting with like kind of what I talked about with you earlier in the week about the one person that got on my nerves. So I've been feeling like Jason from Manhattan because this person who listens to the podcast knows who they are. I felt like wanting to straight uppercut them in the jaw. So, but then another person made me want to do what Jason did, where he like picked the person up, put him upside down in that barrel, and then like kind of drowned him. I mean, just like absolutely getting on my nerves. And that's just like individual things. But we move on, we keep it moving. Thursday and Friday of last week, we have Justice Ruckus and his acolytes deciding some of the dumbest decisions in just history. So now, affirmative action over, student loans, got to pay them all the way. And just like, oh my goodness, man. You know what like actually pisses me off is that it's this word called empathy that we learn as children, that when we hear the pain and sadness of others, that we listen, we take it into account, and we feel for them. And just like the callousness of some of the decisions that have happened, it just pissed me off because they don't even think about it. The fact that people can complain about a book having the audacity to say that slavery is bad, and that cancels classes and funding for like different stuff and everything like that. But that sounds very similar to like a country back in the 40s and 50s that used to burn books and like limit learning.
Oh,
but speaking of that, some people that really love this country wave that same exact flag and call themselves patriots. So just with that, I mean, we're like maybe like 5 years away from you and me drinking from colored water fountains again. And moving forward, just like with that, shout out to Jamie because you fight in the good fight, sister. Moving forward, I went to a comedy show that I just told you about earlier. And I just wanted to enjoy myself for 3 hours. I've just had a week. And these two unmelanated squidbillies decided that they wanted to puff pass in the arena that we were at. I was enjoying the show of this big comedian, and all of a sudden I just start smelling something. I'm like, what is this? It is just like, it's weed. And then like people start getting up and it's like it's loud and like they're complaining about seating, and it's like I just can't focus. And like the fact this dude was literally smoking weed next to his pregnant partner. And on a sidebar, the amount of riz that he had to get the person he was with shows that God is real. But just talking with that, I'm done, man. Like I'm gonna be like Elena on top of a building with my hands wide open as the rumbling begins and smashes humanity to the ground, and you're just gonna be kicked back like in Paradise Island with reading a Venom book, completely agreeing with me. So when the rumbling kicks off and the orcas finish off everyone that goes to the ocean, it is what it is. I'm done with humanity, man. Let's start the show.
Okay. I'm just yeah. Let's just move on. I can't even follow that up. All right, so I'm Demetrius,
and I'm Demetrius,
and Meech and Meech presents
the Blerd City podcast.
Okay, so we just had ourselves a quite extensive moment here. We see that our boy here, he decided to join the dark side as he rightfully should have. I know humanity is in the dust anyways, but the fact that even he decided to join the dark side, that lets you know y'all cooked. All right, it is what it is. And as you know, this is another episode where we get to talk about Secret Invasion, episode 2. There's some big things that I do want to like preface about that one, but we'll get into that much later. And you know what we're gonna get into right now? That legal spiegel. So the purpose of this podcast is to explore digital and print media. All sources we reference are owned by their respective companies, and our thoughts and opinions are strictly our own and reflect no biases or corporate agendas, nor any threat to humanity in and of itself. Your discretion is highly advised.
All right, so we're back. I got that off my chest. I'm processing my emotions like my therapist said I should. And with that, we are going to get into a What's Hot segment since we're taking a break from the main podcast. What you got?
All right, so let's start off with the anime scene. Of course, One Piece is out here with the become an anime goat. In terms of animation, they trying to rival Demon Slayer. They trying and they high key trying to succeed. And then of course, Hell's Paradise is a new show that I've started watching, and I'm really loving it a lot. By Mappa. Okay, then after that, we got ourselves of course, we got Spy Family. We got ourselves our Spy Family movie that's going to be happening soon. We got ourselves that Black Clover movie I still haven't seen yet, but it's on my it's on my list. It's on my list. I may get to it today, or at the time we're recording. And then we got ourselves our good old fashioned Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. Let's get it. Okay, comic book wise, we have ourselves a departure of a very beloved series. One that I've sung praises over and over again. But after 8 issues, Vanish will finally be vanishing from our lives. Shout out to the boys. Shout out to the KLC Press for giving us greatness. But in its place, we got ourselves 2 comics. We got ourselves The Schlub, and then we got ourselves Kill Your Darlings. Both of these are wildly out of pocket in different ways. And as a KLC Press subscriber, I get to see all of it before everybody else does. So hey, come join the crew, And then of course Summer Symbiote's going nuts. We still have ourselves the Death of the Venomverse. Carnage Reign just ended, and let's just say Miles Morales, he got himself a new suit. And he out here on fire. All right. And now let's keep on pushing, keep on moving, right? Let's get to the movies, shall we? As we all know, Insidious Chapter 5 drops this week, and I'm the Red Door, and this is the opposite of the Green Door. We're not going to Hulk territory, we're going into demon territory. So beware and be ready for all types of shenanigans to be on lock. I need every single person in the Black community lock in on this one. In fact, even if you're not part of the Black community, I still need you to lock in, though your expectations are much lower because y'all don't know any better. All right, let's keep on moving, right? Okay, so next thing on the list is the fact that that Oppenheimer and the Barbie movie are still dropping together, and seeing all the memes and seeing everything is going crazy. The fact that Margot Robbie and the director of the Barbie movie actually got tickets to see Oppenheimer. Now we need Cillian Murphy, and we need Christopher Nolan. I need both of y'all to go see the Barbie movie, complete the circle, and just show us that we're about to have the biggest crossover of all time. All right.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I might watch the Barbie movie before I watch Oppenheimer.
Nah, because I need the reverse. All right. I need to go
complete the circle.
Yep. We completing the circle. You see Barbie first. I see Oppenheimer first, and then we swap. All right, we golden, we good. And then finally, as you guys know, it's Grimace's birthday, and we got ourselves the Grimace Shake. Just beware, Lord, people, that when you get the Grimace Shake, you may incur some unforeseen consequences that may arise from it. I have partaken in the shake, and I have gotten it. There's still no word from my peoples. I think some people in my circle are in danger right now before Grimace comes after me. But he probably not gonna come after me because I'm Black and I know better. And also the fact that he know I got that heavenly shooter on me. All right. So yeah, what you got?
For what I got, just another movie, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, has dropped. I don't know if that's good or not, but by the time it's recording, it's already going to be like opening weekend. has already passed. Another thing, Dunes, part 2, the trailer dropped. Super interested to see it. The first one was definitely good. Obviously it left on a cliffhanger because it's such a long book and story. But with part 2 dropping, we can actually watch it as it was intended in theaters, unlike we had with the first one, just because pandemic. Another one, Heal season 2, one of my favorite shows from just like past couple years. Again, Stephen Amell bringing wrestling to life on Stars. So that's when that drops. I'm definitely excited for it. You missed one anime. I'm slightly disappointed, but it's okay. It's the guy hanging over my back right now as we speak. Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War, part 2, the separation drops this Saturday. So I'm here for that. I'm locked in. I got my Zanpakuto and my rest of my Shinigami outfit.
Listen, there's just too much that's been happening this week. You knew I was going to eventually miss one. You knew I was going to miss one. Also, Mortal Kombat 1, they got more gameplay. They released some character bios on the official website, so we get to figure out who is who. And the gameplay I see is absolutely remarkable. Just know that when it drops, I gotta rock my boy. Gotta rock my boy in yellow. Let's get it.
All right, so that's all. So back to it. Now we're going to get into our actual review of the Secret Invasion episode 2, kind of just our usual episode breakdown, starting, of course, with the Pulse of the People, just a kind of general feeling that what you've heard, how people feel about the episode that just dropped.
So from what I've heard, they actually did some people actually liked the first episode, and then some people are a little when the people who liked it, they started comparing it to Andor, comparing it to be it's a dark, grittier story in this fantastical universe. It's dark, it's gritty, it's more realistic, even though we're talking about scrolls here. But then there's also other people who are again fatigued from superhero stuff. They're it's I'm starting to lose it a little, and of course that very sharp turn, because it's there's hardly any humor, and when there is it is humor. Yeah. But other than that, I really found myself enjoying it so far, and then we got episode 2. Let's get it.
Yeah, so it's kind of same general situation. I think people with that ending that we'll talk about kind of getting into predictions, and I have my own prediction related to what you said in terms of just the groundedness of it, because I think in the bigger picture it's leading somewhere. But yeah, it was kind of just same. It's kind of up and down right now. I don't think people are over the moon about Secret Invasion, but I feel like they're still trying to give it a chance since it's a spy thriller, and they understand there's not going to be a lot of superheroes around.
Absolutely. So with that, hey, let's go ahead and go into this episode. In this episode, a little mini breakdown. So if you haven't seen the episode, we advise you to leave right now and return at a later date, because we're about to hit spoilers. So, kicking it off in 3, 2, 1. All right, so this episode actually starts off with a flashback to events of Captain Marvel, the movie. So essentially now you don't even have to see that movie in order to watch the show. And then it cuts to sometime later, where you have Nick Fury, young Fury. He got eye patch, digitally de-aged, and he's including a bunch of scrolls into basically Shield, including a certain young Gravik, who just witnessed his parents dying, and he had to essentially by himself man a ship in order to get to Earth. So yeah, he joins Fury and the crew in exchange for helping them find a new home planet. And then it cuts to the present, where we find out that she gone. Maria Hill is gone, folk.
Yeah, as I suspected would happen, they actually isekai'd our girl. So moving forward from there, he had an interaction with her mother. But one of the bigger things is that now that he's on the hunt in Russia, he has a really big conversation with kind of Talos, or Talos, however you pronounce it. Mm-hmm. So with that, he plays this game where it's tell me something I didn't know. And he talks to him. And like in that Samuel Jackson, like when he's in his bag, he likes to tell stories in a lot of like his movies where he's acting and it relates. So he essentially is like, yo, tell me what I don't know about the war of Skrullos and then what happened after the Skrulls left. And it kind of leads to the conclusion where it's, well, what happened in the reality is that all the Skrulls are now on Earth, which is like 1,000,000 Skrulls. When at the time it was around 1,000 plus or so. So just like with that reality, like for at least 5 years, because he kind of referenced the blip, Talos is like when he more or less did that. So like that is just like crazy. But also in the past, Fury made a promise where he said, hey, if you guys, you Skrulls, you work for me, help me defend my home, I will search for a home for you, which I think that should have been in the first episode because it explains Gravik's kind of turn better later in like the story where he's just like, Fury didn't keep his promise. And it's like 26 plus years where it's like, yo, where's our home? And I have to keep hiding and stuff like that. So that kind of like was very helpful to have.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And then from there, it actually like cuts to a UN meeting, and you see all these nations coming about. They all arguing at the United States. And who's representing the United States? Not America, not the president, but James Rhodey, War Machine himself. And he came with some energy. He came with that gaslighting energy. Because he went crazy. He went crazy with the gaslighting. Like, oh, like, because they were all as like, hey, is that Nick Fury in Russia? He's like, I can't attest to the evidence. Like, this is all Russian surveillance. Hey, what if we like analyze that to make sure that it ain't forged or nothing? And at one point he was like, man, if what was it? What was it? India or
no? It was like Slovenia or Serbia. It was like one of those places.
Yeah. If like Slovenia like just roll her eyes at me one more time, I'm gonna put on my armor and raise this. I'm like, yeah. I'd be tempted by that every single second. Like, you don't know I got this armor on me at all times, and then just murder you. But then after that, he essentially gets a call from a disheveled and angry Nick Fury, and they end up having a little sit down.
And yeah, just before we go forward, something that was really wild to hear is that 2,000 people died from that. Did not look like there was any way 2,000 people plus were there.
Yeah. I wasn't convinced by that myself. I'm like, are y'all inflating numbers? Or maybe it's because of the fact we only saw one of them exploded and not the other one because there were two bombs.
Yeah.
But either way, we also forgot to mention something about the Fury's confrontation with Talos and about his conversation about how humans be humaning and we can't seem to get along and we always be fighting each other ever since we could walk.
Yes.
That's crazy racial. But we'll get into that discussion later because I actually have a point about that.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. So when it comes to Rhodes, right? Essentially Rhodey and Fury, they having a conversation about how Rhodey, he trying to like, listen, I'm trying to clean up your mess. You really shouldn't even be here. And you with all your chicanery, you got Maria killed. You got like 2,000 people killed, and essentially like you fired.
Yeah. What's crazy is that like I feel like Rhodey should know that Fury wasn't like that would have happened whether he came or not. So kind of something more interesting than that is that I think that you and I could kind of pick up on the subtext of that conversation where it's more like, yes. So like only we like people like us could kind of understand, whereas like Nick Fury was really close to trying to call him Tom, but he's not somebody's uncle. And then with that, Rhodey was just kind of like, yo, all this brother what nonsense, like brother this, I'm not really trying to hear all that. You making my job a headache.
Yep. It's like I caught it immediately. I was like, "Oh nah!" But as I said, I'm gonna get to that later because it's gonna involve all the black. It's gonna involve every single black person in this episode.
Okay.
just after the episode discussion, after we finish this recap. All right. So after that, we essentially get an interrogation scene afterwards where
When does the council happen?
oh right, the council happened like right after. All right, so essentially what happens like right before what I'm about to mention, essentially Gravik meets up with all of these the Scroll Council, the Scroll Council of the Round Table, and he essentially strong arms all of them into basically becoming the HSIC, the the HSIC. If you know, you know, head scroll in charge. And essentially like, hey, if we have one person in charge, like we can have everybody rally around this person. All the scrolls will be under one rule, and we can run roughshod on all of Earth, right? And then after that, this is when we get an interrogation scene where I think her name is Fallsworth.
Sonya Fallsworth.
Yeah, Fallsworth, and she ends up like taking this scroll who was disguised as a human,
an American human.
Yeah, disguised an American human to basically, it's like, hey, what y'all plan is, my boy. And that torture it looked painful. Firstly, chopped off of fingers. I'm like, yep, all right, I'm already squealing. And then she ends up injecting something into him, which causes like just lashes of pain and like all his veins to start like.
He was basically saying like your blood will boil beyond like whatever the normal boiling point is.
Yeah, so essentially like he dry snitched, you know, saying that like Gravik, he's building a machine capable of strengthening scrolls, and we end up seeing that machine where it turns out that where Gaia, she finds out that like essentially they're experimenting with like other people's DNA, and I'm just here like, whoa, 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 hold on a second. Is my prediction about to come true? We about to get super out this mug? Okay.
I think you called it. Yeah.
Yep. Disney run me my money. But but yeah, so Gaia along with Gravik, they end up rescuing this imprisoned scroll, only to have him shot later. No, because he claimed he didn't snitch, but Gravik knew he snitched. He just knew. So we out here killing our own scroll brethren.
They treated him like Lenny from Mice and Men.
Why'd you have to bring up that painful memory, my guy? Why'd you have to bring it up?
One thing I want to talk about with the council meeting, which was really interesting and kind of, it might tie into what you're saying later, is like how Gravik was like, so y'all are here eating the man's food, drinking the man's drink, using the man's fork. I was like, talk Gravik. You know, when I watched this episode, I wasn't with him, but obviously I've done my full Jaegerist transformation. So now I'm like, Gravik's right. The High Evolutionary's right. Thanos was wrong in Infinity War, but he was right in Endgame when he was like, all of it has to go. So just kind of with that, it was really interesting how there was that one lady who was like, I can't deal with this. And Gravik respected her the most. Because like, yeah, he did strong arm everybody, but she had her own will. And the people that were on the scrolls of the council, one of them was a NATO leader, like the leader of NATO. Another was the prime minister of the UK, I believe. And then another was like a high level, it was like a quote unquote like Fox representative.
Yeah, he was a Fox News host.
Our boy Shooter McGavin. So with that, yeah, and just that conversation, how it's going to lead into my question, but just how he kind of, it turned into, oh, let's find a home. And then it turned into, let's wipe out humanity. So kind of that parallel with him wanting to just like completely take over versus Talos, who wants to coexist. So yeah, leading forward from there.
All right. And from there, we end up getting to the end of the episode where Fury, he ends up getting one of his cars from one of his secret facilities. I have no idea how that car's still running after how many decades, when if you leave your car and your battery in for about like 2 months without using it just goes out. So I need to know what your battery plan is, my guy. Where you get that from? Because I'm gonna need that for myself.
Tesla.
Bruh. And then from there, he ends up returning to a house where this scroll ends up she doing groceries and whatnot and cooking food, and then she turns into a black woman, and then Fury walks in, and then she goes like, "Ain't you forgetting something?" And he puts on a wedding ring, and they start smooching, and I was like, "Good Lord, Fury's married to a scroll."
I know. And it's actually the scroll that brought Gravik to him at the opening of the episode, which was a cool tie-in. But when he did that, I'm filtering what it was in my mind. But I was like, "You're a scroll lover?"
Bro, you've been drinking some of that Kool-Aid? Oh my God. How could you?
You were the main one talking about like we can't coexist, y'all gotta go. But now you're with a scroll. How dare you? you traitor.
How dare you, sir?
Betray old people.
Nah, bro. Nah. Okay.
Taking going green to a whole nother level.
Oh, you can tell she got her green card.
Hey, This is our last episode.
This is it. This is how we get canceled, y'all.
Oh, moving forward. What's next?
All right. Okay, let's. All right, all right, 3, 2, 1. Whew. All right, I'm calm. Okay, so essentially, right here's some things. Okay, firstly, seeing predictions that yeah, we about to get ourselves some super scrolls. The super scroll, the Fantastic Four. It's about to go down. I'm really hyped about that. I'm really hyped that I'm about to get my money from Disney for that. But the main thing I do want to talk about is this little conversation. Essentially how, like, when I watched the episode, my mind immediately started going like, hold on, is this a commentary about like the black people's like view of the system? Because think about this. You have you have Rhodey, who's like fully into the system. Is like, hey, like we just have to let the system work. If we need to change it, we can change it from within. But then you have Fury, who's like, okay, we can do that, but we just know that like this system is flawed, and like we may need to like take matters into our own hands in order to like get it done. And then Gravik, who's like, I got screwed over by the system, and thus scorch earth policy. Just we need to just completely eradicate it and then build it up again in my image. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's like very accurate to the the character of Rhodey, because even like when he was light skinned in the first Iron Man movie, and a completely different
problematic.
And a completely different person, like he was always like, hey Tony, you got to do this, and then when it went to Iron Man 2, he was like, the Iron Patriot, and like obviously like that evolution of him always being on the side of, hey, he's a colonel, right? Yeah, like being a colonel, being like in the system completely, and he's always having to deal with like wild cards. He's always had to be that straight man. And like in the conversation between them, and I heard that was the first time those two ever shared the screen in a Marvel project, which is crazy to think. But just like for that, it definitely read with that context. I have something in my predictions later, but just like the fact that conversation and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how it leaned so heavily, well, not leaned heavily, but like it definitely had the subtext of, hey, this is a bigger conversation that we're trying to touch on, but like it's not what it is, as opposed to a Black Panther that can just like dive into it. So I definitely think that maybe like not to an extent that what you're saying, just because I don't think they want to use that much nuance, especially considering the fact we're about to go to a multiversal saga. But I definitely think they are trying to like put it there.
Yeah, I was just like bringing that because that was kind of the subtext I was getting out of it. And like, just because, like, hey, these are like the three prominent black characters in this show, and
Mhm.
they all have like differing views, and all three of them are at each other's throats throughout
Absolutely.
this entire episode. So I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But yeah, what else do you think about for this episode?
I think it's definitely building for what I mentioned last week, where I was like, okay, Fury, like I said, he's not going to turn up this week, but maybe in episode 3. I might push that to episode 4 just because I don't know how, like, what's the ramp up point with it. Obviously, with like what we saw on the computer, what Gaia saw, it was the Groot gene, it was also Frost Beast, it was Cole Obsidian, one of Thanos' children, and then it was the Extremists and Iron Man 3. So with that, I definitely feel like Super Scroll is a possibility. I just don't know if Fury's going to end up calling in War Machine, or how does he shut this down? Because again, with Scroll Invasion, you don't know who's an op, and then it's Fury who's old. Like even after that scene where he projected strength and he like broke one of the dude's arms, or like that, he immediately got on a bench and started coughing and wheezing. So I don't know what him turning up looks like. And then he's also at odds with Talos now.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, in that conversation with Taylor about like how like hey another humanity is not ready for another species because we can't even get along with ourselves, and also we learned that he's from Alabama,
Mhm.
which as we all know,
Yeah.
Alabama ain't for us, you know what I'm saying?
Especially particularly when he grew up. So yeah.
Yeah, especially in that time period when Fury was growing up. So like we know like he has that mindset. It's like look, we going through it. In fact, Taylor, you should be probably the one who understands the most,
Right.
and yet you still made this boneheaded decision in my absence.
Mhm.
But I can kind of see both sides of the spectrum because, like, when it comes to Talos, it's like, hey, my people are dying. We have a chance to save them, and you were gone for 5 years. We did not know if you were ever going to be able to come back. So I
Mhm.
had to make an executive decision. It's either let my people die or just let them live and deal with the consequences later.
Yeah.
And we certainly dealing with the consequences.
All right. So moving forward, do you have an MVP of the week?
The one person who really got me, I'm like, okay, Fallsworth, I see you, girl. She like was able to just ruthlessly get the information she needed out of the scroll and had an escape plan and still hadn't got caught yet. I'm like, okay, I see why Fury rolled with you.
All right, dope. So with that, we can get into our big questions of the week. So I think you asked yours of me. Is that right, or do you have another one?
Well, I do have another one.
All right,
It
go for it.
So this one also goes in line with essentially like with Rhodey, right? It's the question of is he a scroll?
Ooh.
So here's my line of thinking, right? The main reason why like why this question's being asked is like it's partially from like my conversations with other people about the episode and how people really did not like Rhodey, did not like him at all for his behavior and how he
Mhm.
was treating Fury, who, for all intents and purposes, is a friend, you know? So essentially, like, and like he should know better. Like, bro, he a brother. We both in the system, and we're both like trying to affect change. And he's like going, and like, firstly, Rhodey was like really skeptical of scrolls being like being the threat.
Mhm.
He was like, of course, he was dismissive of Fury. He was really antagonistic towards Fury and got him fired and all that. It really boils the question of like, and that just had me thinking like maybe he's a scroll.
Ooh, and it ties in because he was like, "Should I call the Avengers?" And then Fury was like, "No, don't call them because they could copy the Avengers, and then we have something bad happening."
Yeah, so maybe he's a scroll, and that could like be a way to save Rhodey's character in the eyes of the people. or maybe he's not a scroll and he's just playing or maybe he's just like really, or his nickname really is Tom. But that's a question I'll pose. Like, is he a scroll or is he not?
That's a good one. All right. So my question is, well, it was going to be like, when do the ends justify the means? Because it was kind of like with Gravik and the council part, whereas it's like, and then throughout the episode, you really just see him like a detached leader, where it's like he's not, trying to inspire people. It's just like, this is what's about to happen, and I'm making myself the supreme leader of all the scrolls with that. But it's kind of like, how easy is it to lose yourself in the mission? And that can be like any aspect of life, like your mission, your passion, work, things that you like really enjoy, where it's just like you lose sight of it and it stops becoming about that and being something else. Like, say, hey, we go into this wanting to be just like a very fun podcast or whatever. And then as it progresses, it's like either you or me, it's like I want to like promote myself above the podcast and yada yada yada. And then it's just kind of like breaks down from there. So that was my question.
Yeah, and that's a good question too. And also another prime example of that thing where the mission takes above all else, Batman. Like, but that's another conversation for another day. Just know, like, hey, sometimes Batman's mission like just gets in the way of everything. But that's neither here nor there. But that's a great question to ask. And yeah, that's like kind of the main questions I had. Unless you had any more.
No, that was it. So now we can kind of come close to wrapping it up with our predictions for next week and then the big picture.
All right. So my prediction for next week is, of course, learning more about like Fury and his wife, his squirrel wife. Maybe like she can be like the one to like essentially help him out or like galvanize him, or maybe, well, this can't be like a sit down like chill episode because there's only 4 more episodes left. So
we do know, well, one thing we did miss, Talos did ask for a meet with Gravik. So that might happen next week, and it might be what we saw in the trailer where it was like he like gets angry and then all the Graviks like rise up at the same time.
Maybe. Or maybe it could be where he might join. Because of the fact we're slowly seeing this man lose it throughout these 2 episodes. So
they did kill his wife, presumably though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing. We need to figure out what the heck happened to his wife. That's probably gonna be more of a big picture view. It's like, because I'm pretty sure it ain't gonna happen next week.
No.
But yeah, that's probably gonna be one of those things that's either gonna make or break Talos and Gaia. Whether it turns both of them full villain or full hero, we don't know. But yeah, there's gonna be that, and maybe another again, just more, maybe probably see more things from Rhodey's point of view, maybe see like how he's basically trying to handle everything. Because as I said, like, I think there's something more going on with him than's initially shown.
Okay. For next week, my predictions. So now we're starting to see Fury at his lowest. He has no allies from what we saw. Him and Talos went their separate ways. Maria Hill dead. Agent Ross is off the table. Either he's a scroll form or like he's still on the run from Valentina. So kind of like he doesn't have allies. So I think he's going to link up with Sonya Fosworth. We're going to find someone else that he doesn't know. And because Gravik's on top, so we have to figure out, and then we're going to actually start to see Gravik's end game and his goal towards that. So that's my predictions for next week. For my big picture view, kind of what you said with earlier, how people are saying like this is grounded. I think that since we're in the multiverse period, but I think that Secret Invasion into Armor Wars, into Captain America, Brave New World, and like Ironheart, those are going to be our grounded subplots, like through lines through the MCU. And that's going to be very political. That's the feeling I'm getting just from like the names of it all, how they were introduced in both their TV series and just things like that. I think like we're going to see the effects and ramifications of Secret Invasion into kind of like how those characters grow, and then it being political and like faces and identity and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I really feel that. Yeah, I really think that's like gonna be a major thing. I do like that through line of like this is a very political type of deal, because if you think about like what are some of the most successful like Marvel movies, and it was the Captain America films,
Yep.
and they were political to the max. And
Yes.
then we got our, and then of course Black Panther and then Wakanda Forever. Those two also had a message on the political spectrum. So
Mhm.
who knows what's gonna happen?
Oh yes, one other thing that I wanted to mention, since Nick Fury is a scroll lover, when that scene happened, I was like, I immediately thought of the movie's Splice.
No, no. Why? Why?
It's not my fault.
What is wrong with you?
It's been one of those weeks, man. So you got anything else?
No, not after that. Not after that.
So let's get our plugs. Let's get up out of here.
All right. Instagram and Twitter, Blerd City 22. Like, follow, subscribe, all the sundry things. Got ourselves our YouTube and our Patreon, Blerd City Pod. Donate a little cheddar, like $1 or so. Get yourself access to exclusive episodes like our deconstruction of One More Day. Um we also have ourselves our Discord linked in our Instagram page. Come join this fine community. And then at the same time, also go ahead and give us an email at blerdcity22@gmail.com. Submit Geek Out Freak Out. Submit your thoughts on these episodes. Submit your questions that you have related to the show. Submit just questions in general for Q&A sessions and all that good jazz. And then I'm the Rogue Jedi 21 on TikTok. However long we got TikTok, it's probably gonna last as long as the scroll invasion is. And yeah, what you got?
For my individual author pages, you can look at the links below. I don't feel like sharing it today. I'm in a mood. So with that, we can sign off for our main podcast. We are off, but this week, but next week we're going to come back with again 2 episodes. We're going to have episode 3 of the Secret Invasion with a special guest, and then we're going to have on our main podcast. We're going to get into cartoons. Finally, it's been too long, but we're finally going to get into cartoons, talk about just like the retro cartoons, and then after we're going to get into a cartoon draft. So with that, it probably is goodbye forever, but we'll just say it's goodbye for now. And that's the Blerd City Podcast.
See y'all whenever, if I don't get replaced.